All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Money Talk Tuesday. My name is Sarah Safi, and I'm a program assistant with the Office of Economic Empowerment. The topic for today's webinar will be how to survive college and plan for graduate school with Leadership Brainery. Before we get into their presentation, I will tell you just a little bit about our office, go over some housekeeping notes, then we'll have the presentation, and finally, we will conclude with a Q&A. So the Office of Economic Empowerment is a department within the Office of the Treasurer and Receiver General of Massachusetts, tasked with supporting, advocating, and facilitating policies that empower all Massachusetts residents. Our programs serve women, families, high school students, veterans, and seniors. Our priorities include financial education, closing the race and gender wage gap, racial equity, college affordability, and promoting STEM education. A few housekeeping notes. As you may have noticed, this is a Zoom webinar and not a meeting, so you won't be able to view other participants. If you want to communicate with myself or our co-host, Jonathan from Leadership Brainery, you can use the chat. Otherwise, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function and we will get to your questions at the end. Once the webinar concludes, a brief survey will pop up. It's just 3 questions, and we kindly ask you to fill it out as it will help us improve this program. And if you're interested in attending any of our future Money Talks or other virtual events hosted through OEE, you can visit this link, which will be dropped in the chat. If you are interested in exploring other financial topics that may be relevant to your life, you can visit myfinanciallifema.org, which is another program that we offer through OEE. And as always, if you have any questions or feedback about this event or other Money Talks, you can email us at moneytalk@tre.state.ma.us. And that is all I have on my end. We can get into the presentation with Jonathan, if you want to introduce yourself and then get right into it.
Yes. Well, hello. Happy Tuesday. Actually, happy Money Talk Tuesday, everyone. I'm Jonathan Allen. I'm co-founder and director of philanthropy for Leadership Brainery. And we are so elated and excited to be here today and want to express gratitude to the Office of Economic Empowerment at the State Treasury and really your leadership, Shatia and Sarah. Thank you so much for all of the work that you're doing to find new and innovative ways to connect with the community, empower the community. A little bit about Leadership Brainery for context, everyone. I am originally from Texas and Louisiana. My partner Derek, originally from Chicago and Kansas City, Missouri. And we made our way up to Boston for graduate school. Derek went to Tufts School of Medicine for his Master's of Public Health, and myself, Boston University School of Law for my JD. And it was in those programs where we experienced being some of the few Black men in our respective programs. Literally, Derek being the only Black man in his cohort, and myself, 1 out of 4 Black men out of 250 students that entered BU Law in 2016. And we began asking this very important question to admissions, not only at universities, but even thinking about the workforce when communicating with law firms and even corporations about why there were not more people from our backgrounds in leadership roles, decision-making roles, earning higher wages even. But the response that we got often was we can't find enough qualified, diverse candidates and applicants. And we said, well, that's crazy because certainly there are plenteous people who come from diverse backgrounds who are ripe and ready for transformative opportunity, life-changing opportunity. And it is part of our mission to figure out how we can expose more underrepresented communities to life-changing opportunity, but also work with the institutions, holding them accountable and supporting them to think about how they create more equitable environments and strategies to ensure that they're able to support more diverse communities and inclusive communities in the first place. And so Leadership Brainery is working to close wealth and opportunity gaps by way of expanding pathways and access to graduate level education so that they can be more recruited into higher wage and high impact careers. And so really excited to share with you more about our theory of change, but also help you think today about not only surviving college, but thriving indeed, but not just thriving through it, but thriving beyond it. What's next? What's the next level? What are the options beyond college even? And look forward to answering any questions that folk may have today. So let's just take a moment and reflect on Leadership Brainery's theory of change. I'm going to share my screen real quick so you all can see what it is we're really focused on. And give me 2 seconds. All right. And so our theory of change is that with greater access to resources and inclusive networks and advanced education, that underrepresented and underserved communities can leverage high impact and high wage careers to establish financial stability and reinvest in their communities to create generational prosperity and thus close wealth and opportunity gaps. And so here is our theory of change model. I know that it may seem like a lot is going on, so bear with me so we can break it down and kind of go through it. And so where we begin is where you see the arrows and where you see kind of this start area that really shows kind of the start of life for under-resourced youth, particularly when we think about the U.S. education system, that there is this limited access to equitable education and preparedness, right? And this notion and reality that districts that are serving mostly students of color receive $2,000 less per student than districts with fewer students of color. And so what are the implications of that? There's then limited continued training for the educators. There's limited resources and supplies available to those students in those school districts. There's limited exposure to career pathways. There's limited access to advanced courses, as well as limited mental and physical nourishment. We know that to be a real thing, that oftentimes communities who have less support and investment, there are so many other implications. We're expecting young people to go to school, but then they're struggling to eat and to be physically nourished. And then what are the negative implications then does that have on their ability to truly learn and thrive? And so lastly, limited exposure even to cultural wealth. These have real implications. And so therefore we realize that the high school dropout rate is really influenced by these dynamics, and thus the college access rate, how many people who are coming from underserved communities are then entering college. We see there's a more and more diminishing return. There's a decrease on how many people who are coming from these communities are then accessing college. And so when you look at this model, you see the brown. The brown represents kind of where things begin. The yellow / LB gold is where you see where Leadership Brainery desires to intervene and where our work intersects. And so if we look at college benefits in particular, they're plenteous, but here's a few. That when you go to college, one of the benefits of going is personal and professional development. You get to develop your level of self-efficacy. And self-efficacy is this idea that you believe that you have the capacity to accomplish whatever it is that you set out to accomplish. Other skill sets that you are able to cultivate are things like time management and self-discipline, problem solving and conflict resolution skills. All of these are the skills that really help you navigate what is indeed a grossly inequitable system across the board, beyond education, thinking about the workforce, and thinking about other ways in which, thinking healthcare, all of these different systems, you have to have self-efficacy, discipline, time management, problem solving, and conflict resolution skills to really be able to navigate these systems so that you can see yourself really benefiting in a transformative way. Some of the other benefits of college are intellectual cultivation, literally expanding and cultivating your mind, and even thinking about exploration and exposure to expand kind of your horizons. You also have community expansion and network expansion. One thing that we tell people all the time about college, beyond the knowledge, beyond the education and the academics, which obviously are important, beyond them though, are the relationships that you build. Those are some of the key benefits of going to college. And then lastly, you see kind of this note about job security, higher wages than what you would earn if all you had was a high school diploma. And so those are some of the key benefits and distinctions around earning that college degree. Now note, we understand that one of the biggest barriers to not only college, but even to graduate school is the cost of it. And that's why these skills around self-efficacy are so important, because the resources are out there. Oftentimes we don't know how to access them. Oftentimes we don't know about them. And so that's where that underexposure really hinders many people who are coming from underserved communities from really being able to access that life-changing opportunity, because we don't always know what's available to us. And so really developing that resiliency and that self-efficacy is key to finding the resources that you need to thrive. But then it is offices like the Office of Economic Empowerment and Insert in Versant and so many other stakeholders in our communities that are working to find ways to expose you to the scholarship opportunities and financial support opportunities that are out there to help fund your college and graduate level education as well. And so that's college. So let's look at this model. And what you will see is that if you start at the beginning, you look at the brown, it gets thinner, right? It gets smaller. And it's getting smaller because we're seeing that less as these young people continue to go through their journey from high school then to college, we see less Black and brown folk, low income folk who are entering into college. But then as you go to postgraduate education, there's even less that are then getting into graduate level education. You have to think about, we live in a country where for centuries, people of color have been oppressed and restricted from access to quality education, certainly even at the K through 12 level, and then certainly at the college level, and then obviously grossly even at the graduate school level. But what are some of the benefits of a postgraduate education? I know so often people say, well, I don't need that to accomplish my life's goals. And the reality is you don't. Why? Because self-efficacy, if you have it, you can manage to navigate all of these systems and find yourself where it is you aspire to be. But we talk about graduate level education as truly a way to accelerate, to speed up your access to these certain opportunities. So what are some of the benefits of postgraduate education? Specialized knowledge and training, really being able to hold yourself out as an expert in particular areas of expertise, recognition and credibility, which is a key to really being able to unlock other opportunities that you may not be able to unlock without certain credentials and recognition. Increased network with industry experts and lifelong learners, which is so important. The more and more that you have certain levels of expertise, the more that you can see your network expand with other experts and other people who are committed to continuing to learn throughout their lives. You have greater research, writing, and analysis skills, which is just so key to accessing some of those more technical career opportunities as well. And developing these skill sets are so transferable that you can use them no matter what it is that you're really focused on. And additionally, this increased earning potential is what's really key about graduate level opportunities. And so as you look at this theory of change, once you think beyond now graduate school and you're looking back at your career, we see then that there is a need for greater industry influence. And so postgraduate education, as we see it, is a gateway to greater industry influence, greater financial stability, greater career upward mobility, greater community representation and influence. And that is exactly what we are saying, is that when we look at who has a seat at the table, when we look at who's making decisions across the workforce sectors, we see there is an underrepresentation of communities of color and people who are coming from lower income backgrounds, first generation backgrounds, who are at the table making decisions. And there is a state of emergency kind of need for more of us to enter into these programs so that we can access those advanced career opportunities at a faster, more accelerated rate. And so what Leadership Brainery is really focused on, where you see the goal, is kind of intervening one earlier on at that K through 12 level to, as we're doing right now, to do thought leadership, to expose more high school students and college students to the need to advance their education so they can access more advanced career opportunities. So we're doing right now exactly what we feel is necessary to expose more of the community to be thinking about, wait, not only should we be thinking about college, but we absolutely should be thinking about graduate level education as well. And what we cannot do is allow the cost of it to stop us from pursuing it, to stop us from figuring out how we pay for it, how we plan and prepare for it, and put ourselves in the best position to even have money offered to us so that we can be able to take advantage of these opportunities. And so one of the things that Leadership Brainery offers in terms of collegiate support is an online platform that has historically, and when I say historically, for the last few months, been called LB Connect, that is actually getting ready to take on a brand transition to Dear Future Colleague, which is now an online platform connecting current mentors at the graduate level and at the workforce level to people who aspire to enter graduate school. And so there's mentorship, mentee-mentor opportunity that Dear Future Colleague offers online. And so we're going to drop a link in the chat for folks to access it. But certainly if you go to our website, leadershipbrainery.org, you'll be able to navigate to the main website to find these resources as well. And we also have an Impact Summit, which is our annual convening of thought leaders, industry leaders, as well as graduate school recruiters who are there to connect with you, learn more about you, and expose you to their programs as well. Our Impact Summit, the third one, is happening next Saturday, October the 9th. And we urge all of you to tap in, RSVP today, spread the word to your networks, and come in and learn. We have special guest Yara Shahidi, who is the star on ABC's Blackish and Grownish, who's one of our special guests this year. So really tap in so you can learn more from the different speakers that we have, from the legal sector to the health sector to the tech and STEM sector to communications and arts. Learn from different leaders who will be there talking about their journeys as well. And so you see that as Leadership Brainery really works to intervene, we're thinking about postgraduate and industry engagement, both from a recruitment and training perspective as well, so that we can grow community influence that allows our leaders to be able to reinvest in our communities and thus close many of those wealth and opportunity gaps. So that is Leadership Brainery's theory of change. Obviously, that is a lot to digest. So please kind of take a screenshot or go to our website so that you can kind of really sit with this, but obviously also reach out if you ever like to have a conversation about the work that we're doing. We're located at 266 A Beacon Street, and welcome anyone to reach out to find time to come and converse with us about the work that we're doing and how we can collaborate to continue to further close wealth and opportunity gaps. All right, so that is the theory of change. That was very robust, but here's a few more points that I kind of want to deal with as we kind of open up the chat. If anyone has questions, definitely welcome you to ask them. One thing that I want to discuss are the keys to surviving and thriving through college, right? Surviving and thriving through college. One of them, as I've already mentioned in discussing the theory of change, is about self-efficacy. And so I want to first encourage all of you to ask for help. Ask for help. You have not because you ask not. And so often, many of us, we don't ask because of pride. We feel bad by telling people we don't have it all together. We don't have our I's dotted and our T's crossed. But the reality is we can't get to where it is we're trying to go if we don't take a moment to tell people, hey, I don't have it all together and I need help here. And that's what self-efficacy requires of us. So ask for help. Ask your professors for help. Ask your fellow classmates for help. Ask staff and administration for help. Ask student leaders for assistance to access the resources that you need. But then also I want to encourage you to expand your horizons, expand your horizons. I tell people all the time that if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. I'll say it again. If you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. And so you have to be willing to take advantage, one, of your college experience to learn new things, to go new places, to experience new things. So explore and expose yourself to as much as possible. How can you do this? You can do this through internship opportunities, which you absolutely need to prioritize. And you need to try things you've never tried before. Don't go for what's easy. Don't go for what you are used to. Explore new things you've never experienced so that you can test the waters around things that maybe you've never heard of or never thought about. That really can kind of open up the door to pathways that really can be transformative for you. But also think about study abroad and other forms of learning that can really expand your horizons. Also, get involved. Do not waste your college years going from class to your dorm. That is the most limited way to navigate college. Get involved, break outside of that shell of yours. That means getting involved with student organizations, whether you hold a leadership role or you're just a member who's active, just make sure you're getting involved both on campus, and I encourage you to think about off campus as well. And find ways in which you can get plugged in. Leadership and community engagement opportunities sets you up for the next level beyond undergrad, right? Thinking about both graduate school as well as career opportunities. The more that you gain leadership and community engagement experience, it really bolsters you. It really prepares you for the next level. So prioritize that. Then lastly, I'll say build your resources, build up your resources, your toolkit of resources. And you can do this, one, by finding different scholarship opportunities, thinking about ways in which you can even save to prepare for emergencies and incidentals. I think one of the biggest challenges in undergrad as well as in graduate school is not always just tuition and room and board, it's eating, it's paying to get to and fro, it's those incidental costs, it's hygiene costs, it's all those other little things that add up that really oftentimes make or break those who don't have safety nets from being able to stay in college. So what can you do? Be proactive, plan ahead, start chipping away and saving a little bit so that you can be able to prepare for those emergency circumstances. And there is organizations like Inversant, who has programming that is centered on helping you think about this. And I see Christine is on today. So welcome, Christine. And I'm encouraging y'all to take advantage of resources like that. So you're thinking about how can I prepare and plan for circumstances that may try and knock me out of the running. But the best way to plan is to be proactive. So I encourage you to do that. And I know so many people say, well, I'm not the most financially literate. I'm not comfortable talking about money. But that's why we're here at Money Talk Tuesday, to help you get more comfortable with talking about money. That's my story. I have always struggled with talking about money because I didn't grow up talking about money and having a true competency around it. So let's come on, relax, and let's tackle the elephant. Let's take advantage of really realizing that there are levels to this and we can accomplish them all. So do that. And so let's transition lastly to this other part of the conversation, and that's keys to thrive beyond college. What happens beyond college? And one of them I will encourage you to do is to build your network. Expand your network is so key. And the way that you do that is by, one, valuing every relationship that you come into contact with. Every relationship. I don't care if it's the janitor, I don't care if it's the professor, I don't care if it's a classmate. You have to value every single relationship because you never know how those dots will connect. You never know who knows who. You never know what experiences people have had that can be very beneficial and advantageous for you, and vice versa, you for them. And so build that network and realize that every single person you're coming to contact is a potential member of your network. And so treat it as such. And so I mentioned earlier that Leadership Brainery has our online platform that is transitioning from LB Connect to Dear Future Colleague very soon. And so take advantage. If you click that link, that bio that's in the chat, and we'll put this on social media as well. But if you go and follow us, you can access it and take advantage of being able to be connected to mentors who can really support you, as well as postgraduate recruiters who can share with you more about their postgraduate pursuits and opportunities. And then lastly, I have to urge you to advance your education. Advance your education. That is the way that you continue to expand yourself beyond college so that you can position yourself to thrive. In thinking about advanced education, master's level and doctoral level degrees and opportunities, again, I tell you, don't get bogged down and weighed down by the complexity of it all. You have to learn as much as you can. And the way that you do that is by doing your homework, researching, learning as much about these programs, and recognizing that this is about you finding the best fit for you, the best fit for you. So you think about, do you want a school with a lot of people or a smaller number of people? Do you want to be in a rural setting or an urban setting? Do you want scholarship aid, or do you have the bucks in your pocket already to cover the expenses of going? Do you want to have access to affinity groups and student leadership organizations, or are you looking for a place where that doesn't matter to you? Already note that I've already said, I highly recommend that you think about ways in which you can get involved in leadership opportunities, because those things will help advance you beyond, right? And so thinking about all of these metrics, thinking about, do you want to live on campus or off campus? Think about who the alumni network is. What kind of people do you want to have access to that are part of the alumni network as well for the type of institutions you're focused on? Are you looking at a public institution or private institutions? All of these are different things that you should be considering to make a decision on what kind of education best aligns with me. Are you looking for an online program or an in-person program? And now with COVID-19, that is a real consideration that people have. All of these things, do you want to be close to home or far away from home? Factor these things in and begin thinking about what is the best fit for me, so that you are looking and attracting the opportunities that align with your goals and your pursuits. So I'm gonna pause right there. I hope that all of this has been helpful to you in some way, and that you will share this information with others. But I want to pause, that you ask any questions that you might have. And thank you. Thank you for tuning in today.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was incredibly helpful. I think you did a wonderful job of, identifying the obstacles to, educational and economic mobility, but also providing the right advice for addressing those challenges, both in school and out of school. Right now, we don't have any questions coming in, but I have a couple questions for you.
Let's do it.
So you talk a lot about how, building relationships is really the key to future success when it comes to grad school or even any other professional endeavors. And that goes beyond just getting an education in the classroom. So could you talk a little bit more about any advice you have for students looking to grow their professional network in school? And maybe specifically, you could talk about how your platform has helped students, find the right people, find the right mentors, and any success stories you have from that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And one thing I think that often challenges young people from reaching out for mentorship and connections is, one, we tell ourselves that we aren't valuable enough. We don't have a great enough story. We're not impressive enough. We haven't accomplished enough. But that's so far from the truth. Oftentimes people have to really hone in on what their cultural wealth is, right? Not just their financial wealth, but your cultural wealth. What experiences have you had that make you stand out? What things have you overcome that make you resilient, that make you someone who knows how to navigate systems, who knows how to get things done, who knows how to still keep going when the going gets tough? That is valuable. That is wealth. And you have to learn how to leverage those experiences, one, to find ways to connect with other people. And so For example, our online platform, we're really proud that already we've seen students connect with industry leaders and get internship opportunities because they reached out and they said, hey, I see that you are in the consulting services industry. That's an area that I really want to learn more about. Would you be willing to have a conversation with me? I mean, so we recently had a student who did just that. They reached out to a potential mentor. They set up a time to communicate with each other. And out of that conversation came a connection to one of the consulting firms. I believe it might have been Deloitte. And out of that came an internship opportunity. And then we had a student who had an opportunity this summer to intern at that particular consulting firm because they reached out to a mentor who had an experience and relationship there, and they had similar background experiences. We've seen students reach out to mentors to talk about their graduate school experience. We've had students who've reached out to ask industry leaders about their work experience, but also their life experience. What is it like navigating as a first generation student these colleges and these workspaces? What is it like navigating them as an LGBTQ plus student? So important to understand those dynamics and how other people have been able to get to where they are. And so literally my encouragement to you as it relates to really building those relationships is to get out of your own head. Get out of your own head. So often we are the reasons why we're not able to move forward because we're not taking the steps to move forward because we're so concerned about what other people think about us. And so you got to drop that nervousness out. There are already enough systemic barriers and hurdles that are trying to block you from getting to where you can go. And so don't put additional barriers in front of yourself by taking yourself out of the equation, by defeating yourself, by downplaying your own worth and your own value. Those things are key. And so I think that one of the best ways to begin nurturing and building relationships is to be centered around your intentions. Ask yourself, what are my intentions? Right? And I encourage you to first always ensure your intentions are pure and that your desire first and foremost always be to build a genuine and authentic relationship with someone else, getting to know them for who they are. And obviously there are things about them that, yes, you want to benefit from, you want to gain access to, but the first thing that you must be most authentically concerned about is building a genuine relationship. And then those relationships evolve to these additional access points. The reason why I say build that genuine relationship is because sometimes you may think somebody is going to be helpful in a particular way, and you find out that that's not the way they're going to be helpful. And so then you feel down, or you feel like I've wasted my time. And that's because you went into the relationship only for the end result, and not for the actual relationship. If you go in for the actual relationship, what you might find is that even if someone isn't able to help you in the way that maybe you thought they would be helpful, that they actually end up helping you in more valuable ways than you even conceived they would be helpful. And the only way you can really appreciate those additional ways in which someone can be valuable is if you are open to what that relationship could birth beyond your initial ideas. So set your intention, make sure they're genuine and pure, and make sure you value building relationships at the core from a very authentic and genuine nature.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like going beyond the idea that, building that connection is just a transaction really
Exactly.
helps, and I also think like it's equally important, to use these or utilize these relationships, not only to figure out what you do like, what you are interested in, but really what you don't like, and maybe what
Yes.
opportunities aren't the right fit for you. So could you speak a little bit on the idea of maybe going to grad school right after graduating from college, as opposed to taking some time to maybe work in between and kind of go over the pros and cons of each of those pathways?
Yeah, I think this is really one of the most important conversations when we're thinking about graduate level education. So Leadership Brainery has a growing network of member schools, institutions that are committed to driving equity, diversity, and inclusion. And they're demonstrating that through different strategies and programs they've developed within their institutions, but also by becoming members of Leadership Brainery, they're exhibiting their commitment in that way. And so what we're hearing more and more from them, from the business schools that are in our network, like MIT Sloan and Brandeis Business School, and Suffolk's Business School, Babson Business School as well, to the law schools that are in our network, like UPenn Law, to the public health schools like Tufts School of Public Health, to Corey, Northeastern's Corey School of Computer Sciences and Simmons Library Sciences. I'm naming them off because you got to know who our member schools are. But what they're telling us is that they really want to see more people who have work experience come into their programs. And so that's insight, y'all. That's industry insight that I'm dropping right now, because the schools are saying they really want to see people not who are coming directly out of undergrad into the graduate schools, but who are taking some time to go and get some work experience before they come. Why? Because the work experience is what, one, allows you to tease out and really explore more what you're interested in, so that even your graduate level education augments that, supports that, and really helps you build those additional competencies that help drive you in a more informed way. And so if you come directly out of undergrad, you do lose some of that additional work experience. However, if you are someone like me, I did, when I graduated undergrad, I went to Grambling State University, which is a historically Black college and university in North Louisiana. Right after I graduated, I worked for a period, about a little under a year, doing marketing for a local startup business in my community. Before going to graduate school, I went to Southern Methodist University for my Master's of Theological Studies in Dallas, Texas. So I did that program for 2 years before coming to Boston for my law degree. And so I was able to certainly leverage the fact that I had a little work experience, but beyond that work experience that I gained right after college, it was the fact that I had so many different internship opportunities while in undergrad. I was very involved in many leadership roles. I was student body president at my undergraduate institution. And so those experiences definitely set me apart, and gave me other experience to be able to show that, hey, I have some skill sets and some competencies, and I am actually making decisions from an intentional place that's reflective of this experience, and not just trying to get a degree to kind of hold me up over because I don't know what else I want to do with my life right now. That's what the institutions are really trying to shy away from. People who are just coming to get the degree because they don't know what else they want to do in their lives right now. If that's you, if you're only pursuing the next degree because you don't know what else you want to do in your life right now, my encouragement to you is to pause, start talking to some potential mentors and people who have taken different career journeys, learn from them, likely try and get you a early stage career opportunity to explore that more, so that you can really go in more intentional and not just be in essence wasting time because you don't know what else you want to do. So those are some, I would say, pros and cons, certainly, of both of those particular pathways.
Great, thank you. Right now, I don't see any other questions from the audience, but I want to thank you once again. This is such an insightful conversation, and I really hope people take advantage of, the things that Leadership Brainery is offering for students in terms of helping them in their professional development. I think it's very cool what you're doing, and we need more organizations like you for sure. So I will give you the opportunity one last time to plug your Impact Summit. We had the link dropped in the chat for anyone interested in attending. And yeah, thank you once again for being here.
Well, thank you so much again, Sarah. And so everyone, the Impact Summit next Saturday, October 9th. There's a host of thought leaders that will be there. We will also have graduate school recruiters who would be there getting to know you. We're so grateful for even the corporate sponsors that we have this year that are supporting this work, including our trailblazers from Charles River Laboratories to Warner Media to the TJX companies and the Rockefeller Foundation, all who are really supporting you excelling in your lives. And so take advantage of this opportunity. If you go to leadershipbrainery.org, you can RSVP. It is free. So you have no excuse unless you're booked already. But certainly tap in, be engaged. Leadership Brainery is here to really help be a leader and help expand kind of awareness of advanced opportunities in our community and beyond. And we're so excited to have you on the journey. Again, thank you to the Office of Economic Empowerment for your leadership in our community, for being innovative in this way, leveraging platforms to reach the community as you are. I'm so grateful for Money Talk Tuesdays and wishing everybody the best. If you need to reach out to me, ja@leadershipbrainery.org. You can reach me there. You can reach me on LinkedIn. Make sure y'all go follow Leadership Brainery social media pages. We want to be engaged with you and we want to hear from you.
Amazing. Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you all for attending today. We hope you enjoyed today's webinar, and we look forward to seeing you at our future Money Talks. Take care, everyone.
Take care, everybody.